Welcome to my views and news. Jawar Mohammed, Vice Chairman of Oromo Federalist Congress with huge following in Oromia, has raised some questions about the peace deal Pretoria agreement signed between TPLF and Ethiopian federal government in November. This is the first time that an Ethiopian politician has raised these questions. Firstly, I appreciate what Jawar did today. You might not agree with his views, but at least he is speaking on national and regional issues. I always say that Jawar is one of the few Ethiopian leaders who have potential of becoming national leaders. But he keeps on restricting himself to Oromia region linked issues, Oromo related issues. He's wasting his potential. He is and he can be one of those Ethiopian leaders who can be true national leaders. There are some others too, but somehow he keeps on restricting himself to the issues from Oromo. Today he raised some question, and this is the first time that an Ethiopian top politician has questioned the peace deal, because everyone is welcoming the peace deal, that peace is returning to Tigray, that services are being restored, Tigray athletes are meeting their families, but core issues are unresolved. And Jawar raised questions about core issues, if unresolved, could lead to resumption of armed hostilities. What did he say? Firstly, he compared current environment with the environment of 2018, when Ethiopia and Eritrea signed a peace agreement. PM Abiy and Isaias Afwerki signed a peace agreement. Reconciliation was made. But he says back then core issues remained unresolved. Asmara Finfinne alliance did not take Mekelle on board. Mekelle was sidelined. Mekelle became conscious that it needed to make preparations for self-defense. And that peace deal actually led to start of an armed confrontation. After 2 years, in November 2020, a war broke out. Why? Because core issues between Ethiopia and Eritrea were not resolved. Only a deal was signed. Mekelle was not taken on board. Same is happening now, he says, that core issues are unresolved. Which core issues are unresolved? Firstly, he talked about disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration of Tigray fighters. He argues that how many Tigray fighters will be integrated into Ethiopian National Defense Force. And what about those Tigrinya-speaking ENDF members who were decommissioned? Will they be restored? What would be the proportion of Tigray region in Ethiopian National Defense Force? No agreement signed, no understanding reached. If it has been signed, it should be made public. And will the people of Tigray feel protected under ENDF if there is no representation of Tigrayans in Ethiopian National Defense Force? Very valid questions. No one knows about the plight of those Tigrinya-speaking ENDF members who did not participate in war on side of Tigray. They were part of ENDF, they were removed, and they were put in prison sometimes. Where are they? What is their future? No details shared by the parties. Secondly, he argues that disarming should be done not just of Tigray fighters, but of other armed factions too. He claims there are 1 million armed combatants and soldiers in Ethiopia. Ethiopian National Defense Force, Tigray Defense Force, Tigray Forces, Amhara Special Force, Fano, and OLA. These 5 groups constitute around 1 million fighters. All, or you can say, majority of them should be disarmed. Ethiopian economy cannot sustain 1 million armed fighters. So others should be disarmed as well, like OLA, through negotiations. Interestingly, no mention of Oromia Special Force. If he wants Amhara Special Force to be dismantled, to be disarmed, why not Oromia Special Force? Oromia region is the largest regional force. Oromia region has largest regional force in Ethiopia. No mention of Oromia Special Force in his message. I think he should have made a mention of Oromia Special Force as well. If you want to decrease the number of Amhara Special Force, obviously, you must decrease the number of Oromia Special Force as well. So, not only just Tigray fighters, other armed combatants should also be disarmed. And then, obviously, reintegration into society needs money. It needs running of businesses, factories, job creation. If it does not happen, it will lead to, if reintegration does not happen, it will lead to resumption of conflict. Fair assessment from Jawar. Only he missed Oromia Special Force. Secondly, Jawar claims that Eritrea, Asmara is being sidelined. Eritrea is part of this conflict. It should be part of solution too. Agreement was between TPLF and Addis Ababa, Finfine and Makale. There is no Asmara. So Asmara should be on board too. Otherwise, it would lead to deja vu, like in 2018, Makale was not on board. Asmara, Finfine alliance led to start of a new war. And it could happen the same in future if Asmara is not kept on board. Well, here I would not disagree with Jawar, but I think that Asmara was represented at the talks through Ethiopian government, through federal government of Ethiopia. The agreement was signed after approval from Eritrea. Ethiopian government raised all issues which were being raised by Asmara. And Asmara is pretty satisfied with the agreement. We have not seen a single word against the agreement, not a single move from Eritrea to undermine this deal. And we have not seen any accusation from Ethiopian government as well about Eritrea, about people backed by Eritrea undermining the peace deal. I personally believe that Asmara would be pretty happy if TPLF is disarmed. That is what they were hoping to achieve in the battlefield. They could not. They achieved it at the table, though after some battlefield victories. Thirdly, Jawar argues that Amhara political elite, Amhara influential players should not be excluded from the peace process. If they're excluded, it could lead to feeling of insecurity, and they could start making preparations for self-defense. We could see Asmara Bahirdar alliance, Amhara Eritrea alliance, and it could lead to start of another conflict. Fourthly, very importantly, a point he raised, which I have been raising in several videos, that for permanent and lasting peace in the Horn of Africa, there must be engagement between Mekelle and Asmara. Political engagement, talks. That is the only way. If there is no such engagement, if the two sides keep on propagating hate against each other, sooner or later we could see armed confrontation between them. I would agree with Jawar here. That is what I've been saying in several videos too. And lastly, he is calling for an end to conflicts in Ethiopia. All conflicts, whether in the south or other parts of Ethiopia. He says that ending of one conflict in the north cannot guarantee permanent peace and stability in the Horn of Africa. What is needed is solution to the problems existing across Ethiopia. That is the only way, which is a way forward. And he urged more than once in his message that Amhara political elite should not be excluded, because we could see start of launch of narratives that Tigray-Oromo alliance is being formed against Amhara. That is why they should be made part of the implementation of the deal, and all actions under the deal should be done with Amhara players consulted. With their consultation, things should progress. I would agree with most of the points raised by Jawar, that the path to permanent peace, lasting peace in Ethiopia is a thorny one. It's a difficult path. It's not an easy task. What is needed is that federal government, Tigray regional government, Eritrean government, Amhara regional government, Oromo politicians, all should play their part in the solution. That is the only way forward. How to convince Tigray to talk to Asmara? It's a very difficult task. Tigrayans do not want to sit with Isaias Afwerki. But gradually, hopefully, things will get better, in the sense that we could see resumption of some sort of engagement between Tigray and Eritrea. Jawar should speak more about national and regional issues. Ethiopia needs people who are more concerned about Ethiopian issues than just ethnic region level issues. Thank you for watching.